Back on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk KFYO. Our next guest, Republican strategist Matt Mackowiak, here on the program. Matt, good morning. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing great. Last week when you joined us, we asked you to kind of do a state of the 2020 election, 40 or 50 days out, maybe at that time. Now, Matt, a week later, it's taken on kind of a different turn as we have a Supreme Court battle lying ahead.
Yeah, a lot has changed just in the last 3 or 4 days. We have to sort of see exactly how this all plays out, who the president nominates, how that person presents themselves, how the public reacts, what the press coverage looks like. But this sure looks to me as though this thing's moving forward. The exact timing, I think, is still not clear in terms of whether they're going to move before the election or not. I think they're going to preserve the option to move before the election. But, they really have very limited time. The president has said he's now going to nominate on Saturday. I believe former Justice Ginsburg is going to lie in state on Friday. So he wanted to wait till that was over. When you get to Saturday, I think you're at like 30, what would that be, 40 days left, I think. Yeah. I think Ginsburg was confirmed in 42 days. John Paul Stevens was confirmed in 19 days. But generally it takes around 70 days. So everything's got to go perfectly for them to do this before the election. You have an FBI vet that has to get done. Now, she had one done when she was Amy Coney Barrett had one done when she was put on the circuit court, and she would only need probably 2.5 years updated, so it shouldn't take that long. Then you need to do the senator meetings with the committee members, written responses to the committee to questions, and then schedule the hearing, hold the hearing, which could take several days. So you could see how you could easily get to mid to late October just through those steps before even scheduling a floor debate and a floor vote, which would take certainly several days as well. So I can't say with certainty they're going to do this before the election. I do think they're highly likely to vote on the floor before, let's say, November 15th, but could be in the lame duck right after the election. But the optics of that may not be ideal. If they were to lose the Senate majority, or if Trump were to lose re-election, or even both, you have to wonder if the politics of doing it in the lame duck change, and if maybe you lose a couple senators that have been more positive. Romney announced just a little bit ago that he is willing to support a nominee this year. So that basically, as long as they don't lose any additional support, they've got the votes they need. They've lost 2 votes. They can lose 3 with the vice president, and 4 would sink someone. So they're in good shape, I think, on the numbers. We'll see who the president chooses. It looks like the front runner is Amy Coney Barrett, the Notre Dame law school professor and circuit court judge, mother of 5, working mother, very, very impressive. But the president has a choice to make, and it looks like he's going to roll it out on Saturday. Yeah,
absolutely. Does this change the direction of the election? Does this make Republicans more likely to get out and vote? Does this make Democrats more likely? How does this maybe change the path of this election?
Yeah, and that was kind of your first question. I'm sorry I didn't answer that directly, but look, it's hard for me to look at this and see how it's not a net advantage for Trump. You could make an argument that perhaps both sides' bases are going to take the election even more seriously now, given that this significant Supreme Court seat is at stake. But if Republicans are going to confirm her, either 10 days before the election or the 7 days after, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that really will decide who the next Supreme Court justice is. This I think will put more attention on the Senate. Which is a good thing because the majority in the Senate matters greatly. And, of course, Democrats are promising to take just outrageous steps, eliminating the filibuster, packing the Supreme Court, admitting Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. to the country, and then giving them each 2 senators. These are the kind of threats that they're putting out there, which shows how sort of emotional and scared they are about the chance for Republicans to confirm a justice. But I do think this is going to juice Trump's base. I also think it's going to remind people that he's confirmed two good judges for the Supreme Court already, But really what I think is going to matter here, Chad, is who does he nominate? How does the public react to that person? How do they present themselves? The Democrats were so ridiculous with Brett Kavanaugh, making these outrageous claims against him with virtually no evidence. They're not going to be able to call a female justice, with 5 children, just these outrageous things that they were calling Brett Kavanaugh. How are they going to attack her? They're going to say she wants to overturn Roe versus Wade. They're going to say she's going to throw out the Obamacare. But they can't make the kind of personal attacks that they made against Brett Kavanaugh. If they do, I think it'll backfire.
Yeah. Have we heard anything from Joe Biden, who allegedly is running for president, but he keeps wrapping up his day early in the morning? Have we heard anything from him specifically about these threats that you have Nancy Pelosi and others in his party? I mean, he's supposed to be the leader of the party now, and I haven't seen where he's commented on any of this stuff as far as packing the court or anything.
No, that's right. He was asked point blank about that yesterday. I forget where, but he refused to address the issue of packing the court. He said he thought that's a distraction from Trump and it takes away from talking about other issues. He also said a few months ago that he promised to release his own list of finalists if he were to have an opening, which, of course, at the time he said would be African-American females. He said on Sunday that he would not release a list, that doing so might put pressure on those judges, might unfairly influence them, might bring kind of pain and criticism to them that they don't deserve, and that he's just simply not going to do it. I do have to wonder again about what that says about the difference between Trump and Biden. Trump has been really transparent on the Supreme Court. Just released his third update, his list with now 44 judges on there. And Biden is, unwilling or unable to produce his own list. The group that I'm involved in, Chad, called Article 3 Project, put out their own short list of Biden candidates just yesterday, BidenShortlist.com. You can see some of them on there. I think there's 12 people on there. It's some pretty scary people, including Stacey Abrams and others. So, yeah, look, I think introducing the Supreme Court as a major issue into this campaign is going to benefit Trump. And I'll tell you where it's really going to benefit him, and I put this on Twitter last night. It's going to really benefit him in the Senate, in these Senate races, right? In states like Montana and Iowa and North Carolina and Georgia, Carolina, those are states that were maybe trending in the Democrats' direction to some extent. And Roe versus Wade is not popular in those 5 states. The pro position is not popular in those 5 states. So I think that's going to really affect this. How it plays in the battleground states and everything else remains to be seen. They really need to make an outstanding choice, and this person needs to be really not just qualified, but really impressive. And I think in Barbara Lagoa and Amy Coney Barrett, for sure, you have 2 very, very qualified and impressive candidates. Barrett got 55 votes 2.5 years ago. Lagoa got 80 votes, I think, less than a year ago. So it'll be interesting to see who they go with.
Yeah, Matt, as we wrap it up, what do you expect to see in the upcoming debate? Because we still have that coming up.
Yeah, I want to say, was that next Thursday?
Yeah.
I think it's a week from this Thursday, so we'll talk next week. But it's going to be fascinating. I'm kind of of 2 minds about it. I think to a certain extent the Trump team's made a mistake lowering expectations for Biden. This whole thing about how he's not there and he's asleep half the time and he makes mistakes. His debates this year in the primary were okay. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible. He wasn't babbling. He wasn't drooling on himself or something like that. On the other hand, I think everyone's going to tune in not to see how Trump does, but to see how Biden does. Yeah. Is he up to this? Does he make mistakes? Is he sharp? Can he be president of the United States? Can he handle stress? He hasn't really had to demonstrate that with these ridiculous teleprompter questions on and skipping events and taking the day off at 9 a.m. So. Yeah. Debate's going to be a huge audience. It's going to be really, really significant. It's going to be fascinating television.
Yeah, we'll get more into that next week. Matt, tell folks how they can sign up for that newsletter and also how they can check out your podcast.
Yeah, we take all the top news from around the state, put it in one clean, easy-to-read email, and deliver it to inboxes by 9 a.m. It's a newsletter called Must Read Texas. You can sign up for a free 1-week trial at mustreadtexas.com. We'll make you smarter and save you time in the morning. The podcast is called Mac on Politics. This week's episode is with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the former Trump White House press secretary. She has a new New York Times best-selling memoir called Speaking for Myself. Great conversation with her. It's available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Very good. Matt, as always, appreciate your time. We'll visit with you next week.
Take care.
That's Matt Mackowiak here on the Chad Hasty Show.